But first and foremost, what position will you be running for, and then what are the responsibilities of your position?
Well, thank you first for the opportunity to come and be interviewed by all of you. I am the Travis County Sheriff, and I'm running for re-election. I was elected in 2016 and started my first term as sheriff in 2017. And being the Travis County Sheriff is a huge responsibility because not only, I mean, most people, when they think of sheriffs, they think of the law enforcement aspect, the patrol cars and the detectives that come out on crime scenes. But that's really only about 26% of our staffing. We have close to 1,800 men and women that work for the sheriff's office, and the majority of them work in the Admin Support Bureau and the Corrections Bureau. I oversee a correctional facility, actually two, the downtown central booking, and then the facility out at Del Valley, where we have in our custody, in our care, close over 1,900 men and women. And so people don't think about the jail when they think about electing the sheriff. And this jail is almost like a mini city. Just imagine if you have 1,900 people, you're cooking up 6,700 meals a day, right? And then you have the laundry and the maintenance and just taking care of those buildings. You also have to have programs like mental health programs. You have to have programs that help reentry. It's a really big responsibility, but I think most of the time people think that the position is only law enforcement, but it's really much bigger than that.
So for our student initiative, we were wondering, what's your opinion on why is it important for students to vote?
Oh my, everybody, your voice counts. And especially in this day, in this time, in the environment that we're living in, it's important for you to vote your conscience and vote. You have a say in so many really, really important areas. And I remember talking to a state representative that represents your area, by the way, and her race, she won by 4 votes. So every vote counts and every voice counts. And so it's just really, really important that you exercise that right to vote, because you can bring about change and you can do so much by voting.
What words of advice would you give to first-time voters?
Do your research. Don't vote on a cool name. Don't, really do your research. Go in and especially now, it's so easy to do that. Go in and find out what is their education, what's their training, what's their background, and are they really well suited for that position? Just because they're nice or just because they, have a cool name or any of that stuff is not enough. You really they have to be able to handle the responsibility, and they should have the training, the education, and all of the background. So do your research. That's very, very important.
Ms. Hernandez, you have a very cool name.
You should vote for that name. No.
Why is it important to participate in local elections?
Oh, okay. So local elections, this is really and truly where your voice counts the most. I mean, a vote, you're voting for law enforcement, right? So in Westlake, you're voting for a constable and you're voting for a sheriff. But it's even much more than that. You're voting for a criminal justice system. You have the opportunity on the ballot even now to vote for the district attorney, the county attorney, and then the judges. And that all of those play such an important part in the judicial system. Then you have the others like the county judge and the commissioners, and that's how your tax dollars, that's how they spend the money on the county budget and the the, the, the way they run the county. That's another very important race. And then, of course, you have those races like the tax assessor collector, the district clerk, the county clerk. We all work together, but it's very, very important to know who they are, really, do they have a background in accounting? The people that are doing, that's the county treasurer. There's just really, really important races because they run this county.
Awesome.
So I want to know, like, why are you running for this office, and how have your past experiences prepared you for this position?
Well, thank you. I'm running for re-election, and I'm running because I have, like I said, close to 1,800 wonderful men and women that work for the Travis County Sheriff's Office. And we've been doing some really extraordinary things. We've been we're working and making great partners when it comes to mental health. We're working to find alternatives other than incarceration, because as you know, jails across this nation, they're really being forced to be hospitals and mental health facilities, and they're really not made for that. We're doing a great job going out into the community and building trust, and just the responsibility of running a correctional facility and really changing the way that we do corrections. And we're just doing a lot of really great things, and we want to just continue. I want to continue to do that work. Right after winning the primary, we jumped right into the pandemic, and we at the Travis County Sheriff's Office we had protocols and practices in place moving into the pandemic. We started all of our protocols in February, and the Texas Commission on Jail Standards uses our protocols to help other jails across, the state. When they get in trouble or they don't know what to do when it comes to COVID, they refer them to us to help them with their protocols. So we're doing great things. It's a foundation. I want to continue to build on it, and I'm excited about November.
Ms. Hernandez, you had mentioned previously that you're up for re-election. What was the favorite part of your job as this past 2 years?
What was my favorite part of the job?
Mm-hmm.
Really and truly working with the men and women. I mean, we have a great communications process where we do a morning briefing, and we connect, and it's all of the different departments coming together, talking about what their challenges are, what their needs are. And we do this every morning from 8:30 till 9:30. And it really is watching, building up leaders, empowering leaders, and working together, not only internally, but really the partnerships that we've done outside to help. I talked about the mental health, and then our partners in the schools, ending the school to prison pipeline. It really is developing strong partnerships, learning to collaborate, and just working. I've met some of the coolest people and the most dedicated people in the world, and I think it's the people. That's the best part.
Ms. Hernandez, I have to ask, how has this sort of re-election campaign been different from your first time?
Well, so my first time to run was in 2012 when I ran for constable. And I remember saying, I was a criminal investigator at the Travis County District Attorney's Office for 21 years. And the last 7 of that, I was the chief investigator. When they were having trouble with the constable in Precinct 3, and I decided I was going to run for constable, I remember saying, how hard is it to run for office? It's not that big of a deal. One little precinct. Can I tell you, it is really, really hard, especially when you're running against a 2-term incumbent. And it's getting out there, and you have to sell yourself, right? You have to tell them why you're better than the other person. And that was always really hard for me because I am a doer. I'm somebody that rolls up my sleeves and I just work. And so it was hard going out there and talking and selling yourself. And the other really, really hard thing was having to raise money. Oh my gosh, where you're having to call people and say, this is a really important race and I need for you to invest money into me so that I can run that race. So I took that challenge on when I ran for constable in one little precinct. So when it came time to run for sheriff, I kind of had a taste of what I was getting into, but this time it was countywide. It wasn't just a precinct. I had to go all over the county. And it was there. I had 3 opponents in 2016, and I won the election without a runoff. So this time I only had 2 opponents, which made 3 of us in the race. So it was a little bit easier. I had done it before, and then I didn't have to talk about myself. I had the opportunity to talk about what we were doing, right? In 2016, I talked about what I hoped to do, what my goals were, what I thought my vision was. But in 2020, I got to talk about what we were doing and what we've got done and what we've accomplished. And I got to brag about the men and women that work at the sheriff's office. And I think that's the easiest part. I hope I got the answer into all that.
No, of course, that was amazing.
So compared to your past term, like what is one thing that you always wanted to do, but you couldn't get done in your past term that you hope to do if you get reelected?
Well, I am very passionate about, and I've caught a lot of opposition on, but I'm very passionate about building a trauma-informed care facility, which is a women's facility, because 90% of the women that come into our facilities have had some kind of trauma that really has got them into the criminal justice center. We currently, the women that are arrested and put into our facilities are in 5 different buildings. And I want a building that's built that helps, where all the women are in one building, where programs are all in one building, the medical is all in one building. And I'm very passionate about that. And it's just started, and so I'd like to see that completed.
Can I ask what got you passionate about that project and the?
You can. You know, a lot of things that I do, the things that are near and dear to my heart, come from actually my past experience. I was a 15-year-old runaway. I should have probably ended up in the criminal justice system myself, but it was very fortunate to me that somebody reached out and mentored me and took me in. And, you know, instead of being in the criminal justice system, I am now over, you know, that system. And I am very passionate about seeing not only women, but people succeed. And I want them to turn their lives around. And so, and I realize that if you treat people with dignity and respect, and you give them help trying to correct the root problem, that they have a bigger chance of success. And so a lot of it has to do with just the things that I've overcome, knowing that I want other people to have that same opportunity to overcome.
That's incredible. Thank you. All right. So I think you touched on this earlier, but what has been the most difficult part of running for office, especially in your re-election campaign?
I bet all of you could guess this, right? Raising money. Oh, is there first? Then calling up and saying, please invest in me and give me money. But, and you have to, it's not a little bit of money. It's, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, it was a lot. And so, so that is very difficult for me. But I can tell you there are some really wonderful people out there that believe in you. And and who would always tell me, you shouldn't be thinking about it being about you. You should be thinking about it being what you're going to do. And so it's not really gotten easier, but that's the hardest part of campaigning, is really calling up and asking for money. I love calling up and asking for people's votes. I love going and knocking on their doors and talking to them. I love meeting people and hearing their concerns. But yeah, it was raising money.
And what have you learned from campaigning?
To stop and listen to people's concerns, because and to stop and listen to their concerns. I had so many mothers who have adult kids or children who have mental illness, who have ended up in the Travis County Jail, and listening to their stories and hearing everything that they face has been so helpful for me when we're developing the programs and the partnerships for mental health. So it's really listening to the concerns and trying to find the solutions to help them. But the most important thing to me is, if you make a promise, you keep the promise. And that's whether it's popular or not popular, you keep your promise. And it's vital. It will either do or break you.
Mrs. Hernandez, I know you had touched on one initiative earlier in this interview, and I was wondering if there were any others you would like to share.
Oh my gosh. I mean, again, very, very passionate about mental health, very passionate about keeping kids in school and not going into the criminal justice system. I'm trying to think. Our community outreach program, it's very, very important, because I think if you don't have the trust of the community, and you're seeing it right throughout the nation, that when the trust between law enforcement and the community gets broken, it's very, very difficult sorry, that's Katie, my dog. But it's very difficult. So it's really, we get out in the community and we try to build as much trust as we can.
You had talked about mental health, and I know that's such a huge part of what's going on in high school right now. A lot of people are dealing with mental health issues. Is there anything like directly you'd like to say about mental health regarding like high schoolers and teenagers, and how maybe we can move positive in that direction?
You know what? There's so many great programs that are out there right now. NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, they have all kinds of programs that help strengthen not only people with that are suffering mental illness, but also their families. And we really focus on the individual, but we also focus on strengthening families, because it's such a hardship, and families need to work together. They need to partner, and we partnered with NAMI, and we have a program at our facility that if they come in and take a 4-hour training about what it looks like when somebody is going into a mental health crisis, what to do, who to call, what to say when you call, right? When you call the police and somebody's going into a mental health crisis, it's very, very important to know what to say to alert law enforcement, so they know what they're walking into. And so if we get the families to go through this program, and then they get an extra visit with their loved one, but we're trying to strengthen families. We're trying to get them to help and have the resources and all the things that they need.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great resource for people to have, especially in this time and age. And I really look forward to doing some more research on that. I know you've done brilliantly answering all of our questions. Thank you so much. Is there anything else, like lastly, you want to share about yourself, your campaign, your job that you want to share to the Westlake student body?
No, I would love to. First, thank you so much. I think it's really important when we were talking about do your research right and make sure that the person has the experience and they're trained. I have been in law enforcement. I've worked here in Travis County for over 30 years in local law enforcement. I was a criminal investigator for 21 years. In the last 7, I was the chief investigator at the DA's office. And then in 2012, I was elected constable. And then in 2016, I was elected sheriff. I ran 3 county law enforcement agencies. I've worked I've worked my whole career on building partnerships, not only in the criminal justice system, but with community groups. And it's those kind of partnerships that really makes the sheriff's office solid. So I have the experience, but more important, I do have the passion. I love the men and women at the Travis County Sheriff's Office. And we are a team, and we're going to continue to be a team. And I hope that I get the support of all of the students at Westlake High School.
Yes,
Thank you so much.